Shock number, 38% of U.S. companies anticipate they will conduct layoffs in 2024, Michael Snyder reports. We experienced a tremendous amount of economic turbulence in 2024, but at least the employment market was relatively stable. I believe here he wanted to say 2023. Unfortunately, that period of relative stability appears to be ending. The pace of layoffs really seemed to pick up steam at the end of 2023, and the outlook for the upcoming year is not promising at all. In fact, a survey that was just conducted by Resume Builder discovered that a whopping 38% of U.S. companies anticipate that they will conduct layoffs in 2024. 38% of companies say they're likely to have layoffs in 2024. 52% are likely to implement a hiring freeze in 2024. Half say anticipation of a recession is a reason for potential layoffs. 4 in 10 say layoffs are due to replacing workers with artificial intelligence, AI. 3 in 10 companies reducing or eliminating holiday bonuses this year. If you currently have a job that you highly value, try to hold on to it as tightly as you can, because the unemployment market is starting to shift in a major way. In recent weeks, so many large U.S. companies have been announcing layoffs. Nike has announced a $2 billion cutback over the next 3 years, with an uncertain number of job cuts included. Toy giant Hasbro will cut nearly 20% of its workforce in 2024, according to reports from the Wall Street Journal. Music service Spotify announced a third round of layoffs. A recent email from CEO Daniel Ek says the company plans to cut its workforce by nearly 20%. Roku is going to be limiting new hires and laying off about 10% of its workforce, while Amazon layoffs are affecting its new gaming division. All 180 jobs there are being eliminated. Citi CEO Jane Fraser announced layoffs in September, and sources have told CNBC that the bank would let go of at least 10% of its workforce across several business lines. Flexport Logistics explains to cut up to 30% of its employees, and financial services companies Charles Schwab is cutting back 5 to 6% of its workforce, according to reports from Business Insider. Unfortunately, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Many more layoffs are on the way. Meanwhile, retailers continue to close stores at an astounding pace. With the continued rise of online shopping, along with record inflation, it's no wonder that retailers are suffering steep financial losses. Unfortunately, this means that companies all across the U.S. are downsizing brick-and-mortar storefronts to make ends meet. In 2023, we've seen closures from big-name retailers and local shops alike, and the shutdowns don't appear to be easing anytime soon. More than 3,000 retail locations were shut down in 2023, but that is nothing compared to what's coming. According to UBS equity analyst Michael Lasser, the U.S. remains over-retailed. Lasser estimated that the U.S. will shed almost 50,000 retail stores by 2028. He cites rising operation costs and a higher proportion of e-commerce sales, causing retailers to look closely at stores' locations and performance. Can you imagine what our communities will look like if that projection is even close to accurate? As economic conditions deteriorate, people are going to get more desperate, and the conditions in our streets will become even more chaotic. You may not have heard about this yet, but earlier this week, a giant mob of more than 100 people looted a bakery in Compton, California. Over 100 looters purposely crashed a Kia into a small bakery in Compton, California, before they flooded in and ransacked the store during a night of rampage in the streets earlier this week. Now, we are not talking about a handful of lawless individuals. Literally dozens and dozens of lawless young people looting this small store, and they did not hesitate to take whatever they wanted. And most of you are probably not even aware that this happened, and that's because this story barely made a blip in the news cycle. And the reason why it barely made a blip in the news cycle is because this sort of thing has become quite common in our country. The thin veneer of civilization that we all take for granted on a daily basis is rapidly disappearing. Let me give you an example. One couple in California that thought it would be a good idea to use an online marketplace to sell an iPad ended up deeply regretting that decision. This is the moment a California couple was robbed of their iPad at gunpoint in broad daylight by two teenagers. Can you imagine? So these days it's hard to know who you can trust, and that's because a very large portion of the population is no longer trustworthy. If things are this bad now, what do you think is going to happen once economic conditions become extremely harsh in the United States? The chaos that we're currently seeing in the streets is nothing compared to the chaos that's coming. Our society really is coming apart at the seams right in front of our eyes. And now we're heading towards the most hotly contested presidential election in our history, and that will bring societal tensions to a boiling point. This is by Michael Snyder. He says about the author, my name is Michael, and my brand new book entitled Chaos is now available in paperback and for Kindle on Amazon. In addition to my new book, I've written 7 other books available on Amazon, including 70-Year Apocalypse, The Lost Prophecies of the Future America, The Beginning of the End, and Living a Life that Really Matters, Commissions Earned. When you purchase any of these books, you help to support the work that I'm doing, and one way that you can really help is by sending copies as gifts to family and friends. Time is short, and I need help getting these warnings into the hands of as many people as possible. I've also started a brand new Substack newsletter. I encourage you to subscribe so you won't miss any of my articles. I've published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog and on the American Dream and the Most Important News. And the articles that I publish on those sites are republished on dozens of other prominent websites all over the globe. I always freely and happily allow others to republish my articles on their own websites, but I also ask that they include this about the author section with each article. The material contained in this article is for general information purposes only, and readers should consult licensed professionals before they make any legal, business, financial, or health decisions. I encourage you to follow me on social media, Facebook and Twitter, and any way that you can share these articles with others is definitely a great help. These are such troubled times and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, I strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. And this is by Michael Snyder on the Economic Collapse blog. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Finally, support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.